Hello everybody and welcome to my Game Week 13 preview for ChampManFPL. Hope you enjoyed Game Week 12. As you can see, we've got a new leader this week. So after going ages and ages and ages with the same leader, it's now changed hands straight away. So that's exciting. It's getting tight. So well done FPL English, gone to the top of the table. Game week 12. I said in my video last week that I set myself up for a bit of a fall, saying that anyone with 20 plus returns in Sims has delivered so far for real. So as predicted, that bit me in the ass a little bit. But having said that, we largely got the goals where we expected them again, in terms of the teams that they came from. I think Man United were the big exception this week. They're definitely having a bit of a wobble. Gone against the sim data for 3 weeks running now. Big big wobble from them at the moment. So yeah, that defeat for Man United didn't look too lightly in Sims, but that was another victory for offside trap against direct passing. So that's kind of interesting. We've seen that a few times already this season. So yeah, another victory for the tactic over the players in that one for sure. Spurs 1-0 was not quite what many of us hoped for, myself included in that. So I did a free hit this week and it went well, but I did have Selakovic and Rebrov in my team. So it could have been even better. That Selakovic penalty miss cost me a good chunk of points. That would have been a goal and an assist for me. And I know lots of people were on Rebrov, some Rebrov captains around. Yeah, just really unlucky. It's one of those things. It's just not happened for Rebrov as you'd expect. Better news for Viduka captainers. Dublin and Hadji were rightly very popular picks, and they did well. De Boer, another popular pick, rightly so. He played up front again at home to Charlton and delivered. Petkoff and Zepeda keep on rolling, even in difficult fixtures. They're delivering the goods. I think that there were still plenty of points around from mostly from the teams that we expected. Although, yeah, hands up, it was by a mile the worst week for my top returners. But yeah, the teams aside from Man United and maybe Spurs could have done a bit better. We still got points largely where we expected them from. So let's see how we get on this week. It looks a tough game week to me, but let's see what you think. So Arsenal Leeds first up. So Arsenal will attack at home, as they will do against absolutely anybody. But Leeds will defend away to tough opposition, and they'll put men behind the ball. It's not a great game for Leeds. Their tactic away from home is not ideal against the top teams. Don't do themselves any favours really, considering the amount of attacking talent that they've got. And we saw this against Man United a few weeks ago, didn't we? So in the Sims, Arsenal coming out on top. So relatively tight game. So I guess Arsenal aren't quite as good as Man United, but they're not sort of steamrolling Leeds in the Sims like Man United were at Old Trafford. But they're still very much coming out on top. 12 wins out of 20, 10 clean sheets out of 20. But they're tending to win, 1-0, 2-1, that kind of thing, more often than not. So they've hit 3 times there, and Leeds have only scored more than once on one occasion there. So yeah, good game for Arsenal. I think particularly for the defence, it's a good chance of a clean sheet for Arsenal the way the team's all set up. But yeah, I mean, Leeds have got good players though. You can't completely rule them out. So around about a 50% chance seems about right to me for an Arsenal clean sheet. And then, yeah, attacking assets. I'm not sure about Arsenal being too explosive. I think the takeaway from me for this one would be Arsenal defence looks pretty good, and it's not a week to be captaining Viduka, for example, or having too many Leeds attacking assets in your side, I would suggest. So player stats, so yeah, it just represents the fact it was a tight game. Nobody getting really anywhere near double figures. Tight game, slightly in Arsenal's favour. Villa Blackburn. Villa will attack at home. Blackburn defend away from home. But as we've spoken about before, although they're defensive, they're still reasonably aggressive, hard tackling. They press. They will counter attack when they win the ball. So yeah, it's not like they don't give themselves any chance. It's just they try and make it a tough game and try and win by like 1 or 2. And in the Sims, it was pretty tight. So Blackburn just about shaded it in terms of average goals. But again, another one where neither team are really getting anywhere close to 2 goals a game. There's only 3 instances between the two of them where they've hit 3 or more. So expect this to be tight. Not many clean sheets either. It's almost a kind of avoid really. Not necessarily for assets you've already got, but in terms of transfer activity, I wouldn't be too excited about bringing anyone in for this game myself, or captaining anybody for this game. And then if you already own assets, then if you've got De Boer from last week, or Janssen, or Dublin, it's not a write-off for them. They've got a chance of getting something, but just not expecting anything too huge from either of these teams this week, really. And player returns, so Bent and Janssen are always on here, aren't they? But Blackburn being away, as we've seen before, there's that chance they play that formation where they've only got one up top. And then yeah, midfielders for Villa. I mean, it's such a tight game that this is almost kind of worthless. I mean, you know who the likely candidates are if anyone's going to get anything. Bolton Ipswich. Bolton will attack at home. Ipswich play normal against a low rep team. So this one's slightly more open than the first 2 fixtures. And Bolton are getting closer to that kind of 2-goal average. And Ipswich aren't terrible themselves, still over a goal a game, just about average. Again, not many clean sheets from either team. So a score draw or a 2-1 either way looks fairly likely. Bolton, with that attacking mentality, are getting that 3 or more, a few more times than the previous 2 fixtures we've looked at. So yeah, you definitely can't rule it out. A good just over a quarter of the time Bolton have hit 3 or more, and they're hitting 2 a good number of times as well. So yeah, for a team of Bolton's level, this is a pretty good fixture for them in terms of attacking threat. And the player returns, Wallace. Wallace came out on top just about. Pedersen not too far behind. Matt Holland again seems the most likely man for Ipswich. Mr. Reliable for them, just sort of ticks along through the season. Gardner's always got that chance of doing something crazy. Ricketts, pretty good pick. So yeah, reasonable game for Bolton, and they've got a fairly good run coming up as well. which we'll look at. So if you're thinking about transfer activity, this is not a bad week to get a Bolton asset in. You've got a chance of something like this up here this week, and then they've got a fairly good run going forward as well. Borough Spurs. Actually, I should say about the Bolton Ipswich game. This is the last week. I've still got Serini in goal here. So you can see he's got one man of the match there. So from next week, Serini will be gone. But yeah, this week Serini's still there. If that's something you want to think about. Borough Spurs. So this game looks a bit better. So both teams will attack this one. Borough at home will attack, and Spurs against low rep teams will attack as well, which is always a good thing about Spurs. One of the few teams that will actually, outside of the big guns, that will attack away from home against the right opponent. So we've got an open game here, and this one looks a bit better, doesn't it? Borough have gone over that 2 goal a game average. Spurs comfortably clearing a goal a game average. They've hit 3 a couple of times. They've hit 2 another handful of times. And Borough have gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times out of 20. Borough have hit 3 or more. So that's a bit more promising, isn't it? Looks a fairly tight week in a lot of places this week because of the matchups. But this is one where you could maybe think about a captaincy or a transfer, I think, for Middlesbrough. Not too many clean sheets though for either team again. Player returns. So Johnston, the postie, came out on top. Rebrov not far behind. Is anyone going to stick with Rebrov? I suppose he's in a lot of people's teams, so I'm sure not everybody is going to be able to transfer him out this week. I mean, he's maybe got to do something eventually. It's kind of like a roulette wheel, isn't it? I think ChampMan. I'm pretty confident that it doesn't think about form. It's not going to consider the fact that he hasn't scored when he should have done in the past. It's like a roulette wheel. If you have 10 spins in a row that's black, the chances of it being black in the next spin is still the same as it was. The wheel doesn't remember that it's had 10 blacks in a row. The next spin is a unique event, and ChampMan is kind of the same as that. It's not that he's broken. It's just bad luck. It's just not happened. And you can apply that to people like Henry that didn't score at Derby. It's the same sort of principle, really. It's just one of those things. But it's understandable. People just think, oh fuck it, I'm never picking him again. But anyway, there he is. He's got a chance. Spurs are averaging 1.4 goals. That's not bad. So if you have to stick with him, maybe it could repay you this week. But the thing to take from this is you can see this is a longer list. There's a wider variety of players' positions that are getting goals. It's more of a game where you can just think, well, that just looks like a good game. So whoever I've got half a chance. Charlton Sunderland. Charlton will attack at home, and Sunderland won't be terrified of Charlton, so they'll play normal away from home. So again, reasonably open. Sunderland have got the better players. Charlton have got the more aggressive tactic, and it leads to it being pretty close. Pretty close at the lower end, but again, I think that's just a reflection of the quality of players on show. So Again, not too many clean sheets really. Sunderland, I guess you got a reasonable chance. Someone likes home. It's not out of the question that you could get clean sheet and bonus here. The strikers from either team, Yule, Phillips. There's not too many blanks, so yeah, the attacking players from either side have got half a chance of getting something. Even if I wouldn't expect anyone necessarily to bang in a hat trick, but you've got a chance of 1 or 2 goals. And player returns, Phillips out on top. So yeah, I think he's a good pick this week. You've got that outside chance that he could just bang. He could score a goal. Sunderland win 2 penalties as a sending off. It's one of those games where he could explode. But outside of that, he's definitely got a very good chance of getting at least a goal, I would say. And then Charlton, yeah, the likely lads there, isn't it? Really, those names that are as likely as anyone to get something for Charlton. Derby, Leicester. So another one where both teams will attack. I think Leicester are one of those teams that it's not set in stone what they do away from home. They may play normal or they may attack, but I think there's a good chance they'll play attacking. They certainly won't play defensive. Derby will definitely attack at home. And Derby are edging it in the Sims, but another one where there's not too many greens. As I said at the start, it looks like a tough week this week to me. Not too much in it, maybe a week for the differentials, but yeah, Derby have got I guess a reasonable chance of getting one of these greens. Leicester, lots of 1s and 0s really. Again, not too many clean sheets though, so it's again another one where it's sort of 1-1, 2-1, 1-0. Tough to call. But Derby with the home team, I'd fancy them over Leicester. And player returns, again, not big numbers. Ravanelli is obviously up front. Burley takes set pieces, penalties if he's on the pitch. Although Derby have signed Matt Oakley as well, so whether that would affect Burley's chance, Oakley might be another good pick. Morris seems to be on a bit of a roll for Derby. Seems to like the way they're setting up and the way he's positioned. I think it's 3 games in a row now that Morris has got something for Derby. So he's looking like a good bargain pick at the moment, and this is again a home game where they definitely could do something. Everton, Man City. So Everton attack at home. Man City play defensive away, but they don't put men behind the ball when they do counter attack. So again, similar to Blackburn, it's not that they go and just wave the white flag and just park the bus when they do win the ball back. That when they do win possession, they will counter attack, and they don't leave themselves with 11 men behind the ball. So it is defensive, but it's not too tragic. But Everton's tactic is more aggressive, it is more attacking, and that's borne out here. 12 wins out of 20, 10 clean sheets, pretty good. But again, not to another home team this week that doesn't look too explosive. And you can see the underlying reasons why that would be as well. It does make sense. So yeah, another tight one. Everton defensive assets good this week. You see, if you look at the man of the match here, there's a lot of Everton defenders here, Stubbs and Weir and Unsworth hogging the man of the matches here, and it will be the same for the 8s and 9s, the bonus points. So I do like Everton defensive assets in this one. Someone like Unsworth on penalties as well. You never know, he could get a clean sheet, a penalty, man of the match. But yeah, any of the Everton defenders really, I think, have got a good chance of clean sheet and bonus this week. But with Wontrop, Tiato, Svensson, Huckabee, you could get one of these where City score 2 or 3. But that's the game, isn't it? That's the game. This gives you a chance to play the percentages, but there's nothing guaranteed. Top returners, again, low numbers. Front 2 for the home team out on top, no big surprise. Man United, Liverpool. So another one of the reasons this looks like a tight week. So along with Arsenal, Leeds, you've got another 2 good teams going against each other that kind of almost cancel each other out a little bit. Man United will attack at home, Liverpool defend away. And Liverpool are more than capable of doing that defensive job. So it makes for a tight game. Man United winning more often than not, but really tight. Only twice Man United have scored more, 3 times. Liverpool, lots of 0s and 1s. So yeah, another tight one. Man of the match mostly coming from Man United. I mean, they'll be on the front foot, so that seems likely. And again, low numbers. So Owen trickled some returns. Giggs and Veron, Van Nistelrooy. Yeah, again, not getting too excited about captaining any of those players really. Newcastle, Millwall. Newcastle will attack. Millwall play normal against a fairly low rep team. And this is the one. This is to me. This is the standout this week. Really, I mean, Newcastle have been terrible. They've got a terrible tactic. Don't like it at all. But this is like a ray of light, really, in a tough looking game week for me. Although I say that, is it really a ray of light because everyone's just going to target it, aren't they? I think maybe. But Newcastle look like the strongest home team this week. Even though they have got that terrible tactic, Millwall are terrible themselves. And you can see Newcastle are hitting 4s, 5s, 3s a good amount of times. There's only 1, 2, 3. There's only 4 games where they've failed to score more than once. And top returners, so Shearer 22, Court 10, Hughes as good a chance as anyone. If they're scoring goals, then there's assists available as well. So good game for Hughes, Dyer, Robert. I think Newcastle. I'm not particularly keen on them in general, but I can't see me going without Shearer this week just because there's scarcity of options, and I just feel like so many people are going to target this. You've kind of got to match it because there's so little going on elsewhere. So that's Newcastle, Millwall, Watford, Chelsea. Watford attack at home. Chelsea will play normal. And this is another pretty tight one. So yeah, Watford will attack, but Chelsea have got very good defenders, haven't they? Don't tend to score too many goals away from home. They tend to make it a tight game away. So another one that's difficult to pick, really. Another one where I'm not too excited about captaining anybody or bringing people in for this game specifically. Not too many clean sheets. Yeah, this Carboni man of the match a couple of times there. Set piece taker. Desai at the back. Watford will attack, so Desai and Terry will have work to do, but they'll be capable of doing it probably given the matchups. So yeah, it's not a graveyard, but it's just not something. Again, as I said before, it's just not something really to be transferring people in for or captaining people. If you've got people already from this game, you can kind of take the positives from it, but it looks a tight week. So that's that. So let's do top returners first. Yeah, as you can see, so Shearer's just miles out in front, and then you've got a list of people that you probably wouldn't necessarily trust, and I wouldn't necessarily tell you to trust them. Johnston, Middlesbrough have got a good fixture at home, so along with Newcastle, Middlesbrough are the team where I'd feel comfortable holding. Basically anybody from Middlesbrough. You've got a good chance this week. Rebrov did well, so I mean, again, the same principle applies. That Middlesbrough Tottenham game looks fairly open, so yeah, Everson, Slakovic, Poyet, Davies. I think they've all got a chance in that game. It should be open, and they're fairly well matched. Bolton have got a pretty good home game as well. Wallace, Pedersen, Ricketts, look pretty good. Phillips is playing away to Charlton, so him and Arca. Who else is at Sunderland? Is it Teal? They've got a good chance. There's always that chance that Charlton just collapse. So not a bad game for Sunderland either. What have I got here? I don't know why I've got that there. I've come out of the folder. Look ahead attack. So Arsenal then continue to have a good run looking ahead. Still not too late to jump on them. Leeds at home is fairly tight, but they should win and they should score 1 or 2. And then City away, Sunderland home, Tottenham away. Good fixtures. Bolton, you've got Ipswich home is a fairly good game. Tough game next week, but then after that they've got Watford and Newcastle. So a bit of careful planning there with Bolton assets could be good. Chelsea, they've got a good run as well. So Watford away, again it looks fairly tight, but you definitely wouldn't bet against them getting 1 or 2 in that game. And then they're home to Bolton. Middlesbrough will try and attack them when they go away. And then they've got Charlton at home in the 4th week, so that's a good run for Chelsea as well coming up. Leeds, bad fixture for them this week, but again, if you're planning your transfers after this week, they've got Aston Villa home, Derby away, and Watford home, so that's really good. So I don't know if you've got Viduka in your team, you might want to think about, or do I actually want to transfer him out? Am I going to want to get him straight back? That kind of thing. Something to consider. Can I just bench him this week? Something to think about. Leicester, pretty good run. Derby away. Wouldn't bet against them getting 1 or 2. You know, they're not going to hit 3, 4, 5. I don't think, but they could get something away to Derby, and then after that they've got Watford at home, which I think will be a really good game for them. Then they'll have Blackburn at home and Sunderland away, where they'll attack in all of those games, I suspect. So yeah, I think Leicester have got a run there where it wouldn't surprise you if they scored 1 or 2 goals in every game over the next 4. And then Man United, so they've been on a wobble, but I think maybe if you back them, you can almost take advantage of people getting nervous about them. We spoke about that roulette wheel principle. The game isn't going to remember that they've just had a few shocking results. They're just going to match Man United against the opposition each week. So if you can, if you can stick it out while other people are maybe getting nervous, maybe that's not a bad idea. So that's the attacking look ahead. Defensive look ahead. Again, Arsenal, Leeds will go and defend against them, so like Arsenal's defence this week. Then they've got City away, and then Sunderland at home is not a bad game for them either. So 2 out of 4 greens is good for anybody, I would suggest. Chelsea, also good defensive assets. Bolton at home, Charlton at home, 2 out of the next 4. Liverpool have been a bit of a letdown with clean sheets recently, I would say, after their really good start with it. But Newcastle home, really fancy them for that. And then Aston Villa at home in that 4th game. Aston Villa are one of the worst teams, or probably the worst team away from home against a better side. And then Man United again, 2 home games. So Liverpool, on paper, you think, Liverpool's difficult, but the way Liverpool's set up gives Man United a chance of a clean sheet. And then Ipswich at home in a couple of weeks. So that's it for the game week 13 preview. As always, make sure you check out the Scout League, the stream with Luke and Andy. Get all the news coming out of the actual sim. Get their insight from what happened on Thursday night. As always, pairing that insight from the actual sim with the sim data is always the best way forward. It gives you a chance to put the sim data into some sort of context from the sim we're actually playing. Always the best way to go. And then from me, I'll be on the Man on FPL podcast recording on Sunday, so I think that will be out on Monday. We're doing a ChampMan special, so we'll talk about all things ChampMan really. I think I'll talk about Gary Doherty moving to Ipswich. Maybe have a look at Charlie Miller moving to Middlesbrough as well. I think that's interesting. So I've got a few snippets there that I've saved for that, and then whatever else the guys put on the agenda. So check that out. I'm sure they'll put a tweet out asking for questions as well. So if you go over to the Man on FPL Twitter page, look out for that. If you've got any questions for me that you'd like to hear on that, then give them a shout or give me a shout directly. But yeah, even better, go to the guys directly, check out their podcast if you haven't listened to it before. They always dedicate a section to ChampMan every week. So that's the next time you'll hear from me. So good luck with the game week, guys, and see you next week. Cheers.